Weather Authority. This is a KNOE 8 News Severe Weather Alert.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're breaking into your regular programming because we now have a tornado warning in place for part of our viewing area. Let's zoom into where that warning is located. We're looking at northeastern portions of Lincoln Parish into southern portions of Union Parish. It does include Farmerville at this hour. So again, if you're in Farmerville, if you're just north of Ruston or anywhere between those areas, we want you to seek your home so that way you can stay as safe as possible. And it's all due in part to a dangerous storm that is showing signs of rotation moving across northeastern portions of Lincoln Parish and southern portions of Union Parish. And as we look to see where this storm is going and the latest with this warning will stay active at least through 4:15 p.m. And again, it covers places like Farmerville, Downsville, Dubach at this hour, although Dubach, you're just about to become clear of this storm. The storm itself is tracking to the east, and when we put a track on this storm and put a couple of locations on the map for you, we're looking at places again like Union Parish as we really head through the next 10 minutes or so, and then eventually, if it holds together, places like Rocky Branch by the time we get to 4:15 p.m. and then Linville as we head toward 4:20 p.m. But it's all due in part to a storm that's showing signs of rotation. And you can see more or less the contrast of the colors is usually a sign that there's something going on, something spinning with this particular storm. At this point, we don't have any confirmation of a tornado on the ground just yet, but we are tracking a fairly potent storm system as it continues to push out of Lincoln Parish and into western portions and southern portions of Union Parish. If you're in Bernice, you're in the clear right now. The storm is south of you, but if you are anywhere from Dubach to the Downsville area, you really do need to keep your guard up. These storms have been tracking more so to the east. So again, Farmerville, you need to keep your guard up. You need to be in your most interior part of your home right now. And we have a new scan from the particular storm system. We're really watching this area right along the border of Union Parish and also Lincoln Parish at this hour. So I would say Downsville, definitely get to your safe area right now if you can, because this dangerous storm is continuing to track to the east. And again, this warning, which is highlighted in this red box, this box highlights where that dangerous storm is, and the storm itself is continuing to push to the east. Anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour. Now, when we take a wider view, just to point out what else is happening across the region, at this point, this is the only tornado warning we have in the viewing area, but there are a number of severe thunderstorm warnings that stretch from northern Louisiana up into parts of Arkansas and even up into parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. So we're talking about the threat for severe weather. This threat will be with us over the next couple of hours. By the time we get to 9 or 10 p.m., the threats should be exiting the region. But until then, we're dealing with this warning that is with us at this moment. We don't have a confirmation of a tornado, but it is something we're following. So as we take another look at this warning, we're really watching this area right here that's covering northeastern portions of Lincoln Parish. Is continuing to track to the east, so it may pass just north of Downsville. But either way, if you are in Downsville, we want you to keep your guard up and just know that a dangerous storm is headed your way. We want you to get to the most interior part of your home. This is not your time to go outside and try to see what's going on with the weather, what you can see with your eye. This is your time to put as many walls between you and the outside world. Again, when we look at a storm track of where this storm is headed, again, it's tracking to the east northeast, so we may have to adjust this polygon just to show you where the storm is headed. But either way, as it continues to track to the east, we're talking about it reaching southern Union Parish as we head really through the next few minutes into the 4 o'clock hour. When we look at the warning itself, it stays active at least through 4:15. And again, this is radar indicated. We have not had any confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but this is something that we are continuing to track. So I want to see if I can get a little more information about this warning. So I'm going to query it one more time. It's just basically we can find out information about this actual warning. And when we look at it, again, it's radar indicated. And it's also producing hail potentially less than 3/4 of an inch. So not only are we talking about heavy rain, lots of lightning, we're talking about a storm that is continuing to move to the east. And let's see if we can get us tracking the storm. The storm itself is moving at just under 30 miles per hour. So these storms are not speeding across the region. They're moving fairly slowly. And I think because of that, flooding may be an issue in some of these areas as well. So if you're just tuning in and you're trying to figure out what's happening, what's going on, why we're interrupting your regular programming, is all due in part to a tornado warning that was just issued, and it goes through 4:15 p.m. So we do not have a confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but it is something that we're tracking. And as we adjust the map, just to show you where we're most concerned with, we're really watching an area in far northeastern Lincoln Parish. So I'll highlight it for you, or I'll circle it for you just so you can see. But we're really talking about this area right here. This is the area as it gets closer to Downsville. That's something we are really concerned with. We don't have a confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but anytime we see the contrasting colors close together, that's a sign of rotation within the storm. And so that's what we're continuing to track. And so that's why this warning was issued. And we do have the chance to potentially see more tornadic weather, at least across southern portions of Arkansas and into portions of Mississippi. The farther south you go, the less of a storm threat. But this is the area that we're watching. And as we talk about which way it's headed, it's really tracking more or less to the east. It looks like it might be drifting south just a little bit, but this is sort of what we're looking at. That's the area that we're tracking, and the storm itself is moving at about 25 miles per hour. So the storm not moving very quickly, but it still is out there, and it still is of concern. So we want you to just know that this threat is out there. If you are in Farmerville, some of you are starting to feel the impacts of heavy rain. It looks like the worst part of the storm is south of you, but still we want you to keep your guard up. Again, this is not your time to go outside to try to see whether or not you see a tornado, or if you can see anything. We would like you to stay inside and stay as safe as possible until the threat exits the region. So let's talk again about this warning that's out there. We have this warning. It stays active at least through 4:15 p.m. We have seen them just adjust the size of that warning, so they decrease the size of it now that the storm is continuing to push into southern portions of Union Parish. But again, if you are in Downsville, you're right there in the line of this storm as it continues to track east. Some of you, if you're watching from Downsville, you're hearing heavy rain. You're likely hearing thunder as well from lightning with this storm, and this is all tracking to the east. Now we have a lot of ingredients in place that will support severe weather today. It's been warm, it's been humid. On top of that, we have a cold front that's sweeping across our region now, and all of that is serving to bring us the threat for severe weather. So we'll have to see what they do with this particular storm, but at last check, we were seeing signs of rotation, and we're really watching this area that's in northern portions of Lincoln Parish. Right now, just north and west of Downsville. As long as this is there, we'll continue to track it, and we'll likely see that warning still with us. But again, with these storms, they're moving at a slower pace. We've seen storms move much faster, but this storm itself moving at about 25 to about 30 miles per hour. We have another update from our radar, and it shows that the most impactful part of the storm is now pushing into Downsville. So again, if you are in Downsville, this is your time to stay indoors, to get away from windows, to get to the lowest part of your home, or if you don't have a basement, get to the most interior part of your home as well. Closets are good for this. Anything that could keep you from the outside world, that'll keep you as safe as possible. I'm going to adjust the radar just so we can center it and point out again what we're watching, where we're watching for the most impact from this storm. And it's really now pushing into Downsville. I want to see too if I can get some additional information about some of the wind with this particular storm. So we're dealing with winds right now with this storm at about 40 to 50 miles per hour, but we're looking to see if there are other signs of rotation. So let me do a quick adjustment and another query just to see where we are with the wind. Gate to gate shear at about 22 miles per hour. Typically, when we're looking at gate to gate shear, that'll let us know potentially how fast the storm is rotating, how fast it may be spinning, some of the winds that may be associated with the storm. And again, we're seeing winds right now being estimated at about 44 miles per hour. At this point, we are pretty far away from the Shreveport radar. So we may be measuring higher up in the storm. But again, we're tracking this area because it is of greatest concern. I'll circle it for you one more time just so you can see, but it's more or less pushing into the Downsville area right now. So this is the worst part of the storm that's impacting Downsville. Again, stay indoors right now, stay away from any windows, and keep yourself as safe as possible until this threat passes. The good news is once these initial storms pass through, it looks like behind them, things have been fairly quiet and the weather may stay fairly quiet after that time. So it's really doing parts of that cold front pushing through. I want to put another track too, just to point out where this storm is headed. Again, it's moving to the east at about 25 miles per hour. And the worst of that storm is right now over Downsville. But as we put another track on this particular storm to see where it's headed, we're looking at places downstream like Point by the time we get to 411. And then eventually Rocky Branch, if it holds together, by the time we get to 4:21 p.m. Farther downstream, that is, if it holds together, Sterlington, you need to keep your guard up because this dangerous storm, whether it's tornado warned or not, is likely to track right across your area. And the same goes for Cargas, and also as we look toward power plant by the time we get to 4:45 or so. So this dangerous storm is moving through, and again, we haven't had any initial reports of any type of damage just yet out of the area. Again, this is happening as we speak, but we don't have a confirmed tornado either. We just have something that is radar indicated from the National Weather Service. They're reporting, or excuse me, from emergency managers out of Union Parish, they're reporting pea-size hail in Downsville. So again, we are looking at some hail with this particular storm that's moving through. And when we take a look at the hail track, it shows that hail has likely impacted northern Lincoln Parish over the last hour or so. When we look toward Downsville, just to get an estimate, it's saying Walnut. This is likely an overestimate in terms of hail size. But again, this storm is producing hail. And as we look at another area within Lincoln Parish over the last hour or so, we've seen potentially larger hail earlier with this storm as it was moving across northern Lincoln Parish. But again, we are breaking into your regular programming because we do have this tornado warning. It stays active for another 20 minutes or so, and the storm itself is continuing to track to the east at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. The worst part of the storm is right now over and just north of Downsville at this hour. Again, this storm has shown signs of rotation. At last check, we've seen what we call our gate-to-gate shear, which is a measure of how fast the storm is spinning. We've seen that right around 40 to 50 miles per hour, but that's likely a little higher up within the storm. But if you are in Downsville, you're dealing with the worst part of the storm. Also, if you're in Darborn, you're also dealing with that storm, but it's slowly starting to exit your region. So if you're anywhere from Wilhite over toward Point, areas farther to the east, you really do want to keep your guard up. And this is the most dangerous part of the storm that we're tracking right now. So this warning, it stays with us at least through 4:15. One good thing is they have not extended the warning farther to the east. So that may be a sign that at least the storm itself is not showing signs that it will continue to stay as strong, but it is something that we're following nonetheless. And when we look at the other alerts that are out there, we have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings. So let's take a look at what's happening across the region. Again, North Louisiana, we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in place. They're all moving in from the west. Farthest to the north, we have a severe thunderstorm warning covering northern Ashley County. Ashley County is also under a tornado watch at this hour. And then the farther north and east you go, you see a number of additional severe thunderstorm warnings out there. If you had any travel plans to travel through eastern Arkansas this evening, I would say hold off on those plans at least until about 8 or 9 p.m. That's when things should start to improve across that area. But farther south, at least in North Louisiana, we will have this this threat for the next couple of hours as a cold front, which is still back to the west, as that cold front finally sweeps across our entire viewing area, we should see weather start to improve. Again, when we look at the alerts that are out there, in addition to the severe thunderstorm warnings, we have a severe thunderstorm watch that covers our entire viewing area that will stay with us at least through 9 p.m. And we're also dealing with a tornado watch that's in place for Ashley County, but that extends farther north and east into the Memphis area, into northern portions of Mississippi, and even across parts of Tennessee. So a lot of concern out there for severe weather this evening. Our entire viewing area is under a slight risk. So what that typically means is that we can see isolated to scattered severe storms develop, and that's what we're experiencing right now. And when we look at the threats that will come with these storms, again, they'll likely be with us at least through 9 p.m. Hail is a threat, damaging wind, that's a threat, and isolated tornadoes will be a threat. So we're watching for downed trees, power outages, and overall tough travel over the next couple of hours. When we look at our futurecast, it shows that things are still or starting to quiet down for us by the time we get to 7 p.m. We still could have some wet weather impacting southern portions of the viewing area. But as we look through the overnight and into Wednesday morning, we do see improvement. So that's definitely a good thing about the forecast. Things do improve fairly quickly once we get to about 9 or 10 p.m. tonight. But as we take a look at what's happening with the radar, what's happening with this storm, again, we still have this tornado warning that's in place, and it's covering Downsville, but it looks like the worst is continuing to push to the east. So if you have any family or friends in Point, tell them to get ready to deal not only with heavy rain, but also strong gusty winds. We have not had a confirmation of a tornado warning, or confirmed tornado with this storm, but it is something that we're continuing to track. And as we look at what's happening with the storm, the worst of it is continuing to push to the east. Again, that warning stays with us at least through 4:15 p.m. They have extended a severe thunderstorm warning downstream, so all of southern Union Parish and now northern Ouachita Parish is under that severe thunderstorm warning. And again, that's because of that dangerous storm that's continuing to push to the east. And as we continue to track this storm, we will put another tracker on this, or just to give you an idea of what locations downstream will be impacted. The storm itself is moving at just under 30 miles per hour. And as we talk about some of the threats from this storm, again, Point, you'll likely feel more of the impact from this dangerous storm as we head through the next 5 to 10 minutes. Some of the heaviest rain is now just west of you, and that will continue to push to the east. We're looking at places like Sterlington potentially feeling impacts from this storm if it holds together. The worst part of the storm, if it holds together by the time we get to 4:30, but you'll start to notice rain even before then. So the rain will likely start for you, if it hasn't already started already, within the next few minutes. When we look farther downstream, if the storm holds together, we're looking at places like Spiker by the time we get to 4:51. And even beyond that. But again, this is something we're tracking. This severe weather is due in part to a cold front that's sweeping across the region, and we've seen some showers and storms develop ahead of that storm system. I want to look south at the moment too, just to point out again some of the other warnings that are out there. We're dealing with a severe thunderstorm warning covering the city of Ruston. So if you are in Ruston or southern portions of Lincoln Parish, you're dealing with another alert that's out there. It's not a tornado warning storm, but it is something that we're tracking. So if you are in the Ruston area, expect heavy rain, gusty wind, even some hail. And as you look farther to the south, places like Jonesboro, dealing with rain now pushing in. There's a more intense storm near Goldana, and it's starting to take the shape that it may be showing signs of rotation. So we could see another tornado warning issued for the Goldana area, and then pushing into northern Wind Parish. We don't have that right now, but it is something that we're following, a fairly potent storm system. When we look at velocity, I'll take a look at velocity on this particular storm. Not as impressive. It may just be very heavy rain with this storm system, but it is something that, again, that we're following, that we're tracking. And as we look at what's going on, we have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings out there. And we also have a fairly potent storm system moving through northern portions of Ashley County. So if you are north of Hamburg, if you're east of Longview, you're dealing with a fairly intense storm that's moving through. It's not tornado warned at this hour, but when we take a look at the information with this warning, we can see if there is any other issue with it. And as of now, it's really just gusty wind gusting up to 60 miles per hour across North Ashley County, and hail max size at about 1.5 inches. Let's take a look at the hail before we go back to the tornado warning that is in place across the viewing area, or in place across southern Union Parish. When we look at the hail, just to see what's going on, just west of Longview, it looks like they saw some significant hail. When we take a look at this, some fairly potent size hail was in place just north of the viewing area, but that storm now has pushed into the Longview area and just south of Longview, again showing signs of fairly large hail. So hail may be an issue for northern portions of Ashley County, but for us, not only are we concerned with what's happening with this storm system across Ashley County, but we're keeping track of what's happening in northern Washita Parish and southern Union Parish. And so now we have new information from the National Weather Service. They have extended that tornado warning that was in place for just northeastern Lincoln Parish, southern Union Parish. Now they've extended it farther to the east. So if you are in northern Washita Parish, you are now under a tornado warning, and that covers all of southern Union Parish and southeastern Union Parish in particular. I want to see if I can get some new information on this additional warning. This warning will stay with us at least through 4:45 p.m. And again, it's radar indicated. We have not had any confirmation of an actual tornado on the ground, but we have a fairly strong thunderstorm, severe thunderstorm that's moving through the area, showing signs of rotation. So this is a threat we will continue to follow. It's what we're dealing with at the moment. And as we take a look at what else is happening, let's put another track and let's see what's potentially places downstream will feel the impacts of this particular storm. Again, at last check, the storm was moving at just about 30 miles per hour, just less than that. So as we look farther to the east, we're talking about places like Point. This storm is more or less knocking on your door right now. So if you are in Point, you want to get away from any windows. You want to get to the most interior part of your home so that way you can stay as safe as possible. As we look farther to the east, Sterlington, again, by the time we get to 431, the most important, most impactful part of the storm should be moving through your area. So again, this is a threat we want you to take very seriously. We're right at the peak of severe weather season here in Louisiana and across the central portion of the nation. So we're dealing with the threat for storms now, and this is a time of year where we see severe weather. Although here in Louisiana, we can see severe weather any time of year. This is the time of year we typically see more activity, but by the end of the month, we'll be decreasing our threat for severe weather. But still, it's something that we're dealing with now, that tornado warning being extended across southern portions of Union Parish and also northern Washita Parish. As we look farther downstream, while you're not in any warnings just yet, if you're in Gum Ridge or Bastrop, you really do want to pay attention to what these storms are doing because they're tracking in your direction. I do want to highlight some areas that are a little quieter right now as well, or should be seeing weather improve. As we look toward places like Dubach, right now you're in the clear, but just east of you, you're dealing with stormy weather. And again, Ruston, we're talking about that severe thunderstorm warning that still is in place for you. Let's take a look at velocity just to see what's going on with this particular storm. Again, we're showing signs, a broader area of rotation, but it still is there. I'll circle what I'm looking at just so you can see, but I'm really looking at this area right here. It looks like there is a fairly potent wind, strong wind moving through that area, and we don't have any confirmation of a tornado just yet, but I do want to query or more or less find out what's happening with the wind. So I'm going to take off these warning boxes and I'm going to query this area just to see if we can get an idea. So now we're showing gate to gate shear at about 74 miles per hour. So that is showing signs of strong rotation. that's moving through southern portions of Union Parish at this hour. So if you are east of Downsville, if you're west of Sterlington, this is your time to really be in your most interior part of your home to stay as safe as possible. And it's really due in part to a rotating thunderstorm producing strong wind. At last check, gate-to-gate share was about 74 miles per hour. So that's potentially how fast the winds are with any storm that's rotating, or that particular storm that's rotating in the area. I want to take a look at a few more things. Again, we have this warning that's out there, like staying active for or through 4:45 p.m. So this is something that we will continue to follow, something that we're dealing with right now. And we don't want you to get nervous or get worried or get scared. We just want you to make sure you are inside and you're staying in your most interior part of your home. So if you're in places like Marion, all of the action is just south of you. So Marion right now, things are quiet for you. And the same goes for the city of Monroe. We don't have a storm actually moving right across the city of Monroe. But if you're north of Monroe, and really in particular in northern Ouachita Parish or southern Union Parish, we're dealing with this storm that's showing signs of rotation, that's showing strong wind with that rotation, and it's pushing to the east at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. So this is a dangerous situation. So if you are anywhere in these areas, if you're anywhere in northern portions of Ouachita Parish, this is your time now to take the necessary precautions to keep you as safe as possible and to protect yourself from this threatening weather. And it's all due in part to this warning, this second warning right here, highlighted in red. It'll stay with us at least through 4:45 p.m. So we have another 35 minutes or so of this warning before things improve for these areas, and then we'll be looking downstream. But the threat for severe weather definitely there. We have this warning that stays active at least through 4:45 p.m. Farthest to the south in Ruston, again, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. And farther to the south and east, places like Rayville, you're quiet right now, but you do want to keep your guard up because the threat for active weather is still there. Now, when we look at what's happening across the region one more time, we have a number of severe thunderstorm warnings impacting areas along Interstate 20, just north of Interstate 20 and well south of Interstate 20. And we're also dealing with the severe thunderstorm that's in place across northern portions of Ashley County. But it looks like some of these storms are starting to intensify as well. So if you're in southern portions of Ashley County, you really do want to keep your guard up as well. But the greatest threat for severe weather right now in northern portions of the county. And as we look farther to the north and east, we see more storm activity pushing toward Memphis, just south of Memphis at this hour. Here's a look at the alerts that are out there. Not only are we dealing with that tornado warning, but also we have a number of other alerts out there. We have a tornado watch that covers Ashley County that stays with us at least through 7 p.m. And then farther to the south, all across northern Louisiana, we're dealing with this severe thunderstorm watch that stays with us at least through 9 p.m. You may notice Shreveport is not under this severe thunderstorm watch. That's due in part to that cold front now making its way into northwestern portions of Louisiana. And as that front continues to push east, behind that front, the weather should be much quieter. So most of the activity will be ahead of the front. And as it continues to push east, that's when we'll slowly start to see the weather improve and turn fairly tranquil as we head throughout the night. Tonight, generally speaking, we have a slight risk in place that typically means isolated to scattered severe storms developing, or at least a chance for them to develop. That's what we're dealing with right now. And when we talk about timing, now through about 9 p.m., hail, wind, damaging wind, and even isolated tornadoes all possible. And these are just some of the impacts from those activities: downed trees, power outages, and tough travel. And again, based on latest information from the National Weather Service, we have reports of small hail that impacted places like Downsville over the last hour or so. So I'm taking a look just to see if I can get any additional information, just to see what's going on, just to see if the National Weather Service has any additional information for us. Nothing, again, has been confirmed, but this is something that we're following, and the storm itself is showing signs of rotation and showing fairly potent signs of rotation. Wind at last check anywhere from 70 to about 75 miles per hour. When we look at some of the other alerts that are out there, or as we focus back in on this tornado warning, it stays with us at least through 4:45 p.m. So if you're keeping track of the time, we have about another 35 minutes or so of this warning. And if the storm continues to hold together, we could potentially see this warning extended downstream. So this is just an early heads up. If you're in Bastrop, if you're in Oak Ridge, we want you to keep your guard up because the dangerous weather is pushing in that direction, but you're not under any warnings just yet. Let's take another look at the velocity associated with this storm. Again, we're looking at it push now again across central portions, southern portions of Union Parish. Farmerville, you're still dealing with wet weather and even some wind at this hour, but the worst of the weather is slowly pushing to your south and east. There still is a tornado warning box that covers part of Farmerville, so we want you to keep your guard up. But the area that we're most concerned with this storm system is really the area that is just west of Sterlington. So this is the area of concern. I know the map it may look a little jumbled, but this is the area where we're picking up the strongest wind, and we're also potentially seeing the wind change direction fairly close together. Anytime you have wind changing direction fairly close together, that's a sign of a rotating storm, and that's something that will be a threat to us. We now have a new tornado warning that we want to bring your attention to. This warning is in place across northern portions of Ashley County. So if you are in Hamburg, you're in that tornado warning. So we want you to, again, take the necessary precautions, get to the most interior part of your home so that way you can stay as safe as possible. And this warning will stay active at least through 5:15 p.m. So this warning will be with us for about an hour or so. The storm itself is moving to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So these storms have been moving to the east at about 30 miles per hour or so. So again, Hamburg, you're right there in the thick of things when it comes to wet weather and also windy weather and even hail with this particular thunderstorm that's pushing through. But if you are in Portland or in Jerome, you really do want to keep your guard up because the storm is pushing east. And Jerome, you're just north of the warning, but Portland, you are within that warning. So as we take a look at a few more areas that we want to highlight within this warning, Montrose, you're in that warning as well. So this is your time to, again, stay indoors, get to the most interior part of your home so that way you can stay safe. Mist, Snyder, again, you're within that warning. The storm, the most dangerous part of the storm, just north and west of Mist. So between Fountain Hill, Riley, and also Mist and north of Hamburg. We'll take a look at velocity too, just to see if we can get an idea of what's happening with the wind within this particular storm system. And we're really tracking just strong wind. We're getting fairly far from the radar at this point, but it is something that we're tracking. And again, just showing signs of rotation, a rotating thunderstorm. We'll put a loop on it just to see if we can get an idea. And again, right now, it looks like the worst of the storm, where we're seeing the strongest signs of rotation, is really just north of Hamburg. So this is the area that we're most concerned with. So if you're anywhere between Fountain Hill or north of Hamburg, you need to especially be in the most interior part of your home so that way you can stay as safe as possible as this dangerous storm moves across the area. But at the moment, we're dealing with activity now moving across northern portions of Ashley County, and that thunderstorm activity has triggered this tornado warning. So we'll go back to what's happening across southern portions of Union Parish, and then we'll check in on Ashley County in a few more minutes. But right now, the most dangerous part of the storm that's moving through southern portions of Union Parish is now tracking towards Sterlington. So again, these storms have been moving at about 25 to about 30 miles per hour. And as we track where the most intense part of the storm is and see where it's headed downstream, again, we're looking at Sterlington likely feeling the impact of this storm within the next 10 to 20 minutes or so. So this is your time now to prepare. If you are in places like power plant, again, we want you to start preparing now. This dangerous storm is pushing in your direction. This is your time to get to the most interior part of your home, so that way you can stay as safe as possible until the storm clears the area. But this storm has had a history of producing hail, and also producing very strong wind, along with signs of rotation within the storm. So if you're just wondering, if you're just tuning in, you're trying to figure out what's happening with the weather, we have 2 tornado warnings right now in the viewing area. We'll adjust the map so you can see both of the warnings. We have one warning that is in place across Union Parish and northern Ouachita Parish. We have another warning that is in place across northern portions of Ashley County. And these are all storms that have developed ahead of a cold front that's continuing to push to the east. So if you are in northern portions of Ashley County, pushing into far southeastern portions of Arkansas, we want you to get to your safe area right now, because we have a dangerous storm pushing through the area, storm that is showing signs of rotation, and thus the tornado warning. We're also tracking that additional tornado warning that's moving through southern portions of Union Parish, and also will eventually push into northern portions of Ouachita Parish. We'll have to see if they keep the warning and extend it into Morehouse Parish. But if you are in Bastrop, or if you're in Sterlington or areas just west of Sterlington, this dangerous storm is pushing in your direction. So we want you to take all the necessary steps to stay as safe as possible. And that involves getting into the most interior part of your home, getting away from windows, getting away from any exterior walls. If you're in a manufactured home or mobile home, get to a sturdier structure. All of that will help keep you safe as this threatening storm continues to push across our region. And as we look farther south, places like Ruston starting to quiet down just a little bit. We're still dealing with rain and thunderstorm activity in that direction. But if you are in Ruston, you're dealing with rain, and some of that now is pushing toward western Ouachita Parish. When we look at what's happening, again, we have that tornado warning that's there. It's the visibility, or at least the velocity. Again, this is the area that we're most concerned with. This is the area that's continuing to push to the east. So if you are in Sterlington, we want you to keep your guard up. And when we take a wider view, at this point, we have at least 4 severe thunderstorm warnings across our viewing area and 2 tornado warnings out there. So the threat for severe weather definitely there. This is something we've been following over the last few days, even since this weekend. And as of now, this is something we will continue to follow as we have these warnings that are out there. So again, anytime you hear a tornado warning, that's your time to really get to the most interior part of your home, to get away from windows, to get away from any exterior walls. All of that will keep you safe. With these particular tornado warnings, we have not had any confirmation of a tornado on the ground, but these storms have been showing signs of rotation, and that's why those warnings have been issued. When we look farther to the south, we're looking at a fairly potent storm pushing now into northern portions of Wind Parish. This one is not tornado warned, but we'll have to watch to see how it behaves as it continues to track across the viewing area. But it is something we're watching. We do have some good news, though. If you are in Lincoln Parish, right now you are not under any warnings. That severe thunderstorm warning that was just there has been allowed to expire. And so if you're in Ruston, things are quieter for you right now. But if you're traveling east, I would say hold off on that travel until some of this dangerous weather continues to push east and or weakens over the next hour or so. But these are the additional alerts that are out there. We have a severe thunderstorm watch that's with us at least through 9 p.m. We have this tornado watch that's in place across southern portions of Arkansas that'll be with us at least through 7 p.m. But that's a sign that once that cold front that's triggering this severe weather sweeps across the area, pushes across the area, by the time we get to 7 or 8 p.m., a lot of this active weather should start to quiet down. Again, generally speaking, we're dealing with a slight risk for severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. So that typically means isolated to scattered severe storms being possible. And threats with these storms, given this current weather situation, those threats include hail, damaging wind, and also isolated tornadoes. And again, we have a couple of tornado warnings out there. When we look at the futurecast, it still shows some rain activity